Hello and welcome to Dice Jesters. My name is Julie.
And my name is Dave.
And we are a merry and whimsical board game podcast where we dive deep into games with curious minds and a jester's grin. We feature 10 by 10 challenges where each season we commit to playing 10 games at least 10 times and sometimes much more. And today we'll be kicking off season 5 with expeditions. Well, having an expedition in expeditions.
We'll be taking the journey.
Yeah, we'll be taking the journey. So
into the lands.
Into the lands.
Expeditions.
Thank you. I feel like we overuse the word expeditions now. But it's exciting. Season 5's new. So just a little update on how we're going to do the template. So we are going to start with that first impression, and we are adding the backstory and how player one's chosen again, because I used to ask that in the past, and I guess I kind of gave up. Now I'm back at it. But
and the pairing.
Oh, yes, and a pairing. But the pairing is a surprise, okay? It's not just, it's a drink pairing from my fridge. It is something more, deeper than that. More with the game, thematic. That's the word I'm looking for. More thematic. So there's that. And then, of course, we have our middle segment where we come back after that first play and let you know how easy or hard or just in general how it went learning and playing that first round. After that, we go into a third segment where we discuss all 10 plays and how those 10 plays went for us, and just maybe anything that we feel we would like a little bit more, or maybe something that we really liked about it. We are very competitive players, so that's kind of our angle that we come at it with. We are a 2-player team, I would say. Not really a team. I mean, I like to win, but so there's that. And then there may be surprises at the end. So for this specific episode, there is an expansion with expeditions known as
The Gears of Corruption,
which we will play depending on the contents of the Gears of Corruption expansion will determine how many times we play. So for example, let's say it adds, 2 additional players, right? Like 2 additional character cards. Then we'll play it 2 more times because Dave will play a character and I'll play the character, and vice versa. So depending on what the expansion has to offer will then depend on how many times we additionally play that. We won't necessarily always play the expansion 10 times. It all depends on what's in the box.
The reign of Rasputin and Fenris is over, bringing a time of relative peace to Europa. The heroic deeds of those who protected Europa fade into legend. Instead, the eyes of the world are on Siberia, where a massive meteorite crashed near the Tunguska River, awakening ancient corruption. An expedition led by Dr. Tarkovsky ventures into the taiga to learn about the meteorite and its impact on the land. When months pass with no reports, other than rumors of the crew and wildlife being possessed by strange parasites, a rescue mission is sent after Tarkovsky, and they also fail to return. Itching for adventure, heroes from the war privately fund their own expeditions to Siberia, hoping to find artifacts, overcome challenges, and ultimately achieve glory. They borrow mechs designed for exploration and head to base camp to embark upon their journeys. This is where your story begins.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
That was quite the backstory. Right? It's called backstory. Like
it
thematic.
Is.
Well, thank you for joining us. So that was the backstory to dun, 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 dun,
Expeditions.
A board game designed by Jamey Stegmaier, right?
Yeah, and published by Stegmaier Games.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about this, and I'm happy to be here on this journey with you. After hearing that story, though, where's your mind? Are you in the mood for adventure? Are you ready to explore? Are you ready to uncover ancient mysteries from this meteorite that's crashed?
Okay, so when I was younger, I always had this passion, I guess, or dream to encounter a meteorite site to then collect stardust. I even like read online that you could use a plastic bag and a magnet, and early in the morning, if you had gone out and like, I don't know, went over the grass or something, supposedly little pieces of metal were stardust. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But to answer your question, long story long, yes.
I was gonna say, you seem to have personal stories about just about everything. So I was like, are you about to give me a personal story about a meteorite?
No, that's my story. I always wanted to just be on a meteorite site, to be the first person. And then I would like think about how I would go about it if I would try to collect or open whatever it may be. So,
what do you think would be the craziest thing to find at a meteorite site?
You know, I feel like at this point, I'm pretty tough to like surprise or shock. So if it was like an alien or something, I would just think, yeah, it's about time. It's about time I see an alien. If it was, I don't know, just a metal rock from the sky, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out. You don't know what's going on in space, and I'm sure the gravity and impacting Earth change the shape of whatever this is. So that makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like some weird alien disease. I'm like, yeah, that also makes sense.
Bring it on.
No, don't bring it on. I'm just like, it just makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm excited. This is our first game of our season 5 10x10 challenge. Yeah. And this is gonna be an interesting journey. We're doing things a little bit differently this time, where we're diving deep. We were diving deep before, and we're going head first this time.
We're going deeper. We need scuba diving gear.
Or a submarine.
I don't want to be in a submarine.
Would that be terrifying?
Yes.
Claustrophobia?
No, it's the oxygen that freaks me out.
Oh, because it could run out.
Yeah.
That's scary. Mm-hmm. But we are kicking it off with expeditions. And if this is your first time listening to us, welcome. We dive deep into games, and we basically capture our experience going through and playing a game a number of times. And we start by giving you our first impressions of the game on the table and talk about the game and backstory and all of that. Then we go and play the game one time and come back and talk about our experience learning the game and what that was like. And then we go and play it at least 9 more times for a total of at least 10. And then come back and talk about that. And then we may have some additional surprises in store this time around. So
we're excited because the additional surprises are quite fun, especially if you listen to our kind of like intermediate episode. There was definitely a surprise at the end. I have a bird friend somewhat. So if you don't know about that, you could go fast forward to the ending of the previous episode. So that's why you just gotta, always listen to the end. You never know what's gonna pop up.
Right. It's like a Marvel movie. People stay for after the credits every time.
I feel like lots of movies do that though. Not just Marvel movies. It's true.
But do that with us too. Let's stay till the very end. You never know what you're gonna find. That was like it was like an hour and 15 minutes into that in between episode.
Oh, okay. I like that you know exactly whenever that started.
And you were like, if anybody's still listening right now, please let me know. It was so funny. Made me laugh. So Expeditions came out in 2023. And this is a follow-up to the game Scythe, which is a massively popular game. I've played it once. So
I have not.
I really liked my play of it. But what I love most about Scythe is the art. And this game carries that art. It's by Jacob Razalski. And if you've never seen his art before, go look at it. He has a website with like all kinds of cool artwork. It's like steampunky, but 1920s and
like witchy.
There's like werewolves and it's so cool. I'm so captivated by the art. And that's really what drew me into this. And I love the theme of exploring. I love adventure themed games. And the idea of it taking place in this post-World War I, 1920s Eastern Europe, where we're going out into Siberia and unlocking these mysteries through this massive meteorite crash just sounds really cool. And already looking at the game on the table, I'm drawn into this whole world that was built by this. So the game itself, though, it's a card-driven engine building type game, and has some map exploration and then some strategic progression too. You get a chance to upgrade these mechs that you have on the board through tucking cards underneath your board.
Ooh, tucking.
So, and reading through the rules and learning about the gameplay itself has some aspects of games that we've really liked, and specifically Bruges. I'll be curious to see if you catch on to that, but there's some things that reminded me of Bruges in there.
I love Bruges.
I know, already I'm like, this could be definitely a game for us. So looking at the game on the table, you had a chance to look at it. What What were your thoughts just seeing it sprawled out? It's a pretty big game.
Well, first off, I really like the mech you chose for me because to me it kind of looks like a rhino horn beetle. And I
picked it just for you.
Yeah, did you think it looked like a beetle?
I did. That's why I picked it.
Cute.
I know you like beetles.
I've always wanted a rhino horn beetle. They're so cute.
You can have those as pets?
Well, I don't know. I had the cow roly-polies. I forgot their name, but the isopods that look like little cows.
The dots?
Yeah, I had those.
Anywho,
so that's really cool. I'm happy that you picked that for me. And then it kind of looks, from my point of view, that these hexagons are a map, and we're going to be moving our mechs across said map to try to get to the territory over here that have these hexagons that are flipped upside down, so you can't really see what's on the other side, and they have these little tokens on them. So I'm guessing you move your mech to get to there. When you get it, you get a token, and then you flip it. That's just my guess for that. And I absolutely love those cute little, I don't know, these starting cards with my little tiger.
Oh yeah, because you get a starting character and then a companion animal too.
Yes.
So it actually did. I sent you a picture of all the animals, and I was like, which one would you want as the first time you play, which animal? And you chose the tiger.
Yeah,
so
it's like a big Lululemans.
I chose this Siberian husky.
Did you? I thought you picked the monkey.
No, well, I was going to, but then I saw the Siberian husky, and I thought, I want to save the best for last. I don't like to start with necessarily my favorite, but somewhere in between.
See, that's what happened to me. I saw the monkey, and I was going to pick that, and then I kept looking at the rest, and then there was the tiger, and I was like, oh.
Well, we'll have a chance to play with all of them.
We're going to have to do rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, and then we'll pick our favorites and we'll play with those. So
that sounds good. But yeah, so the portion that reminds me of Bruges is the colored workers. Like there's purple, green, red, yellow, and blue, which are similar to the colors in Bruges. So I'm guessing that you collect these meeples and you use them to pay for actions or upgrade, or I don't know, many things. Like you use them for those moves, similar to Bruges.
Yeah, you're pretty spot on. You use those to unlock actions, and the difference that I found, and we'll talk about when we come back after playing one time. We'll explain what the game is. So the difference though is you get these worker meeples, and in Bruges, when you pay for actions, they go away. You pay for it and they're gone. But in this game, they stay with you. So you use it to activate your card, and then you'll take those cards back into your hand at certain points. The meeple will go back on your board, and then you can reuse them for either other cards or that same card when you play it again.
So you don't have to discard it?
No. Unless there's something in the game that makes you. I don't know if there is yet, but
yeah,
I haven't played it yet.
Like hazards.
Oh, I mean, there are hazards out there in the Siberian tundra.
Terrain.
So we'll see. Putting the game out, I was so giddy setting this game up, and I didn't want to look too hard at some of the artwork on some of the tiles that are flipped over. I just kind of shuffled them up and put them out because I want to discover that. For the same reason I didn't go through all the cards in the deck to look at them too, because I wanted to experience that together. I'm just so drawn into this world already.
I love that. Do you think that the P in Expeditions is shaped like a scythe as like to pay homage to Scythe?
I would guarantee that you're spot on. But one thing that I did find interesting, though, is that I was listening to some of Jamey Stegmaier's designer diaries about designing this game, and it sounds like Jacob was heavily involved even in the design process because they collaborated a lot and was sending him over artwork, and then that helped inform the actual designing of the game. So I love that this seems to me like a very thematic first game, and even though you and I play a lot of these really dry, old school Euros that I love, I am like a big sucker for theme. If you've noticed, when there's a space theme game, I get really excited. If there's an adventure game, I get excited. So I think I am a thematic gamer at heart, but I just love the Euro mechanisms. So hopefully this game will provide that to us.
Oh, add a little twinkle to your heart.
And speaking of getting into theme, one thing that we started doing back in season 1, and it kind of went away, is we would do these like pairing adventures or quests or something. At first it was a beverage, and then I started taking you places, but I wanted to bring that back. And
I'm just looking at you because you said places.
Well, yeah, we went to like the monastery.
Where else did we go?
I guess so. We're bringing it back.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it was hit or miss. We didn't do it every episode. So I thought, to get in the theme of Expeditions, what kind of expedition can we go on within a reasonable driving distance to where we live. So there's this abandoned structure within Forest Park here in Portland, Oregon, that's known as the Witch's Castle.
By some people call it the like old outhouse.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for taking away the
the thematic journey. Sorry.
Historically, I did look up the history of it. It was built in the 1930s and used to be a public restroom. So if that ruins the suspense, I'm sorry. But
you can blame Julie.
I thought it'd be fun for us to go on a hike through the woods to go to this old abandoned structure and just feel like we're out exploring and then uncovering lost remnants of an ancient world. So what was that experience like going to the Witch's Castle for you, and how much do you feel like that prepared you for the expeditions we're about to go on in this game?
Well, after hearing about the thematic background that you had read to me, I feel like these are two different explorations. One exploration is civilization almost. You're like trying to survive and everything, while our exploration was simply to find the Witch's Castle. And you're like, and the story behind it, and to see if it's true. I'm like, I know. But yeah, so we went through the beautiful Pacific Northwest wilderness. We didn't find Sasquatch.
No,
we didn't find Wolfman. I think that's it. No, it's Dogman.
Dogman. We have Bat Squatch. Have you heard of Bat Squatch?
We have Bat Squatch. That's by the mountain. But we didn't find any cryptids, but we did find the Witch's Castle. I think if we did find cryptids along the way, that would better fit with this game.
It would. You know what I found, though? I found a good time. That's what I found.
A good time.
I found my, nature, got some refreshing air.
I can't remember the day. Was it raining?
It was.
That's probably
you're like, why are you taking me here?
Yeah, because I feel, and then somebody like parked really close to me, and you're like, you in your car, and I'm like, ugh.
Well, we also got coffee that morning. It was a nice morning.
Oh, yeah, we got coffee from my favorite coffee place.
So,
yeah, it was kind of like an expedition. Yes.
It was. So we'll see, though. I mean, we haven't played the game yet, so maybe there are aspects in this that will definitely remind you of our hike to the Witch's Castle.
Right. Maybe I'll, in the game, get coffee with my tiger, and then we'll go to an abandoned structure.
Of course.
No, I liked it. It was fun.
So I know you're probably itching to know. The most important question that you used to ask, we're bringing that back too. How
the starter player is chosen? Is that what I'm itching to know? Is that what you're guessing that I'm itching to know?
It says, first player, randomly determine the first player.
Nice.
We should keep track of our favorite ones, like the ones that are really unique, and we'll just, maybe one day we'll nominate our favorite.
Yeah, I like the Zools, where it was like, the last person to go to Portugal. That one was fun. Let's make up one for this one.
I feel like I've seen some really specific ones too that are almost to the point of being ridiculous. Like I can't remember what game it was, but it was something like the last person to walk through a waterfall. It wasn't that, but it was something that specific.
There was one that was like the last person to have a slice of pizza or something.
Oh, yeah.
Or a banana. I don't know. It was something that we played that had to do with food. For this one, it could be, the last person that went on an expedition. But
it should be both of us, so then it has to be tied. Because we do everything together. So if it was anything, the last person to do whatever, likely we're going to be tied on that.
Unless it was eating something. We do eat slightly different things. We may eat together, but eating...
Well, sometimes, 9 times out of 10, when we sit down at a restaurant, we don't even talk about what we're getting, but we order the same thing almost every time.
Except you go, it's okay, you don't have to take anything off.
I guess you make all the modifications, and I'm like, I'll take mine as is. Good. Makes me laugh. But why don't we go back to the table? Mm-hmm. I'll teach it to you, and then we'll come back and discuss that experience.
Yes. And we return from our first play of Expeditions to talk about how it went and
how well I nailed the pairing between the expedition to the Witch's Castle and this game. Let's start there.
Okay, well, how do you define nailed?
As in, I captured the spirit of the game. Did we find any melted meteorites or corruption?
No, there was also no mechs.
Did we upgrade our mechs?
No,
we saw some trees and birds and stuff like that, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like the Witch's Castle, though, it would be a pretty cool art piece if that artist were to draw something based off of it, because you had personally purchased me when we first started talking.
Yes.
Because you had purchased me an art piece by that same artist where it was a farming family that was looking out into the field and there was a werewolf, right? So that type of vibe would be perfect for the Witch's Castle. So the art vibe works well.
And that was before you had even played a game with me. I got you that art.
Well, yeah. I didn't start playing games until you and I started like living together.
I know.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts of learning this game? How did I do teaching it? And what was your experience like with your first time?
It was interesting. I wouldn't say that you were bad at teaching it. You taught it well. It's just that there was things that I necessarily didn't want to hear right away because it was just too much to capture or comprehend at the time. So I just wanted to understand how to move and then play and then find out how to do it. But with all of that being said, there were cute little cards, that the cheat code cards, you know, the little helping cards.
Oh, yeah.
The key or whatever.
Those are always so helpful.
What are they? Is there like a term for them?
Yeah, reference cards.
Yes.
Reference cards.
I love reference cards.
It helps not have to get out the rule book, which is nice. There's nothing I dislike more than constantly having to stop the game, get out the rule book, flip through the pages and stuff.
Yeah. So that makes it easier too, because then I don't necessarily always have to ask you questions. I could just look at the reference card and then I know from there.
Well, I'm happy to answer all of your questions. I love being that person.
You're like, no, ask me all the
ask
questions.
me all the questions.
Well, I did ask you a question, but
do you want to take your stab at explaining what the game is?
No.
Do you want me to explain it?
Yes. Yeah, you can explain it. Yeah.
Okay. So Expeditions is, I would say, a card-driven resource management exploration type game where we already explained what the theme of the game is, but basically the goal of the game is to get the most points, which is money in the game. That's how you win the game. And you're trying to chase after these different achievements that are called glory in the game for these different categories. Once somebody has placed their 4th star on these glory categories, that will trigger the end of the game. And then you get points for a variety of things. But that's the main gist of the game. But you control these mechs and you're going out and exploring, and there's all these tiles set up on the board, and most of them are face down at the beginning of the game. And then when you enter a location, you'll flip it over, and all of the locations that you flip over will have corruption, which is as a result of this meteorite that crashed and questionable things happen. But you pull these corruption tokens out of the bag, and the tile will denote the minimum number of corruption level that is required. And there are 2 different types of resources in the game. There's guile and power. And so there's orange and blue. And the corruption can be a mix of those 2 different categories. And on your turn, you have this little action marker, and you basically take turns with a combination of move, play, and gather. And they're really simple actions. Move means that you move around the board. Gather means that you gather the resources or abilities that are at the location where your mech is currently at. And then play means take a card from your hand, which in this case, they're kind of face up on the table on the left side of your player board. You'll play that to your active player row, and then that gives you resources. It also gives you abilities or bonuses if you have a worker of the matching color to place on it. And so you continue doing that, and you move your action marker covering up a space, and then you get to take whatever 2 actions aren't covering it. And then you can also take a refresh action where you move your action marker to the refresh space and then take all the cards back into your hand. And then the next time you do an action, you get to do all 3 move, play, and gather. So it keeps going in that order until somebody's placed their 4th star. And then we count up all of our points. But there's also abilities that let you tuck cards underneath your player board. So there's melding meteorites, you can upgrade items, and then solve quests. So those give you bonuses like upgrading an item that you control either in your hand or in your active player row will give you an ongoing ability that you don't need a worker to activate. Melding a meteorite gives you money for whatever it says on the card. And then each time you meld another meteorite, you get to reactivate each one you've already placed. And then solving a quest gives you resources when you place it. It also has an ability that you can unlock on the card if you pay a certain cost. And then the number of quests that you solve at the end of the game, the more you solve, the more your stars will be worth in money at the very end. So that was kind of like high level, rambly explanation of the game. Did I get it right? Did I miss anything?
No, that was everything that I remembered at this time.
So what were your main impressions of Expeditions, and do you have any predictions for what the game will be like over our next several plays?
Yes. So the corruption, the meteorites. I think it's helpful to note that whatever you place first, like the order you place them, because if you place something first that's more difficult to obtain, then I don't know, maybe you want to place that last and then place easier ones. I don't know. Just so you can like maximize receiving the payout for that. Because I noticed that I had one that said if you had a value 5 corruption, get $1. But if I placed that first, I would just be placing something that wasn't necessary because maybe I didn't have a value 5 at the time. So just to realize what order you're putting them so that you can maximize your money. That, and then the other item that I had noticed and taken note of was to just kind of like be mindful of what you're doing, because there's a lot of glory points, glory objectives that you can obtain, but if you're not careful, you might spread yourself too thin and somebody else might have focused on 4 and already concluded the game. So then you're like, oh, I have none.
Oh, is it like somebody could place them really quickly and then end the game before you realize it?
Yeah, because you're too busy spreading yourself too thin and doing a little of everything.
It seems like that can happen fast. And I found myself, even in the first play of it, getting caught up in trying to build my own engine type of thing, get that going. And then you started placing stars, and I was like, oh, shoot, maybe I need to figure out how to place stars. Oh, I need to be on a location to activate that ability. What categories do I have? How can I possibly catch up? But then what's interesting is you actually placed 4 stars. I didn't place 4 stars, but I still won the game.
Yeah, because I got money more through cash. Meteorites. Yeah.
It's all about cash.
I didn't recognize that. I didn't realize until the end.
I think in my head, I'm like, whoever ends the game usually wins it. Like
that's
in San Juan, Race for the Galaxy, it's kind of like that. But this seems like it's not always the case.
Right. And so far, I know that, well, I'm for certain that my mind's probably going to change as we do play more of it. But for right now, I'm just kind of trying to dissect it. So I don't have anything necessarily to sway either way, whether I like or not like it. I'm very neutral on it right now just because I still feel like there's a lot more to discover in this expedition.
I'd be interested to go back at all of the games that you ended up really loving and how many of those were you like gung-ho from the beginning. I think most games you don't really know and you're pretty neutral to start because you want to figure it out. And then once you figure it out, usually around plays 4, 5, or 6, then it's smooth sailing from there.
4, 5, or 6. Nah. Guardians of the Galaxy was like 10, 11,
15,
12. Yeah.
that was an exception. Well, there's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because one major negative about Race for the Galaxy was the symbology. So my question is, how was the readability of the game in terms of symbols, in terms of text? How easy was everything to digest?
I would say it was on the easier side because of the reference card. I think if the reference card wasn't there, I would be referencing the rulebook a lot because the 2 purple things confused me a little bit. The gears wasn't necessarily that confusing, but the corruption. See, I forget it already.
Right.
The one where you slide it under.
Oh, melding.
Melding was confusing because there was like a meteorite on the card itself. And then I was unsure like which one to meld. Well, the gear one had a gear on the card, a gear on the playing mat. So just a little thing I was confused on, but the reference card helped me.
Yeah, and from my experience learning the game too before I taught it, I will say that I don't know what it was about the game, but I had to read through the rules a couple times and then watch a couple videos as well before it really clicked. And I think it was just there's some unintuitive aspects of when you gain a card, it actually doesn't go to your hand. It goes to your active player row, but that doesn't mean that you get to activate that card. It just is kind of like your discard pile, but not, because you can still have stuff activated in it. So it was a little bit strange for me to wrap my head around. And then to explain it all, I took the mindset of I didn't explain everything to you up front. I just taught you the basics of a turn and we got into it. But I would say there were only a couple of times that I had to look something up in terms of what the card ability did. But the symbology is pretty intuitive, I think. Everything is pretty easy to digest.
Yeah.
The main thing that stood out to me about the game in the first play is it seems like the game has this aspect of timing, of when you, because you're gathering these cards and the cards themselves have really cool abilities on them. But then if you are upgrading, melding, or solving a quest, that requires you to take it out of your hand or out of your control, and then it puts it out of play for the rest of the game, but it gives you stuff that you need for the end of the game. So I think the timing is important of how long you keep it in your cycle before you take it out. So it's kind of like deck building, like Dominion or something, where you get these cool cards and then like when do you trash them? When do you buy the victory point cards? And I always like when games make you have to make that decision of how long you keep something before it no longer serves a purpose. And it seems like this game does that pretty well.
Yeah, I noticed that because I was taking things out of the cycle, and then I realized that the actions connected to those would have been better used.
I took things out really too early.
Yeah.
And then I only had a few cards in my cycle because I was taking everything out. And then I'm like, oh, I actually should use these a few times before I do that.
Yeah, so it's fun.
And
Lots
then
of learns.
Yeah, and the refresh thing I like too. It kind of reminds me of
like when you're putting the cards down.
Century Golem edition, because you can, or Concordia we haven't played that together, but there are games where you're playing cards and then as an action or for your whole turn, you can do a refresh and take things back into your hand, and that's one of my favorite mechanisms.
Yeah, I like that too. It makes you have to think, because I feel like sometimes it's like a waste of a turn, but then the next turn's beneficial, but it makes you think, should I do this or is there something I can do to maximize the turn?
Well, especially because in this game, when you refresh your next turn, you get to do all 3 actions. So It's like the mega, then you have all those cards available again. So yeah, well, I'm excited to see where this goes and our opinions, how they end up after 10 completed plays, and we'll go do that. It'll just be a few seconds for you. It'll be maybe a while for us. We'll get through it, and then we'll come back and talk about our experience over those 10 plays.
And we are back after our 10 plays of expeditions. It's been an expedition, I must say, because there was lots of the rules that I didn't understand every time we changed characters, because you and I played every character kind of at least twice, right? Yeah, we were able to play each character twice.
Every mech twice, and then we started just cycling through the characters and just picking at random. But I think we played each of the characters themselves at least twice.
Yeah. And so my favorite mech was Odin's Wrath, and that's because it looked like the Loch Ness Monster. I understand it's a ship.
The ship one?
Yeah.
What did you like about that one?
Well, I liked a lot about it. I liked that it was cute, and then I liked that it allowed you to dispose of the maps to get something. But, as you know from our second to last play, I was quite salty because when I played that map, I had read it as you can use a map anytime during your turn to get either a fist. Well, it's not a fist.
It's like power.
What was the one that we called a brain? Guile.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use a map to have a power, a guile, and or $1. And I didn't do it that way because I thought, you can only use a map on your turn. And then you played it, and then you went and you were like, I'm just going to use all 5 of these maps to do this. And I was like, wait, pump your brakes. No, it says map. And then you looked it up, and you found one that said, look, there's a post from Jamey himself that says you can use as many maps. And
Game changer.
Well, okay. The thing that I was salty about was that I personally feel that I understand I could have asked questions for it, but if it said map and then maps with the parentheses around it, I would have been more apt into asking, oh, are we allowed to use more than one? Due to it saying a map per turn or per your turn, I was under the impression that you could only use a single map. So
I guess I'm just used to anytime you can only do something once, it usually specifies in the game. It'll say like 1x.
yeah. So that's why, I take as one, as
but then
singular.
It said at any point in your turn. So that's
Okay, but any point in your turn is your one time for your turn. We're going to get down a rabbit hole of just debating about this. So I'm just going to move on because I got to play with it again and then I did it your way and then I won. But just saying that first time I played as it shouldn't have counted due to being under the impression that it was a map as opposed to maps plural.
But once you figured out the correct way to play with it, you liked that one a lot.
Well, I like that one a lot, even when I played my way with it.
Just the super restrictive mode.
Yeah.
No, it was cool because it let you do something with the map tokens, which I felt like, aside from the star that you get a place for having, I think it's 5 map tokens, there aren't many ways within the game to use those, or they don't give you any kind of like ongoing benefit or anything. So I thought that was cool that you could trade those in and then you could up your resources or get money, especially at the end of the game. If it's your final turn and you have all this leftover, the leftover maps, you can turn those in for money, which is points.
It is. It's nice. It's great. If you could turn it in for points.
Exactly. I think my favorite mech was the whatever one let you take the cards immediately into your hand.
I forgot what that one was called.
Because ordinarily it just goes to your active row and you have to refresh before you get those back. So there's kind of a delay between when you collect the card to when you can actually use it for something. But getting it straight into your hand is kind of a game changer. Honestly, they were all pretty good. There was the one that let you move really far. Like getting to move 4 rather than 3 spots opens up the board like significantly.
Yeah, because sometimes you wanted to move it and you were just one short and you thought, oh, great, if I could only move one more, I would have what I wanted. But then that mech allows you to do that, but you have to have that mech. There was also a card, I forgot specifically what it was called, but it allowed you to use a green player, like a green piece, to move again. So that way you could move across the map a little bit better.
Oh, true. The character, I can't remember which one that was.
It was an item, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. There was, one of the companions, I think, let you move or do like a vanquish action or something like that.
Was it? Was it Jirachi?
I don't. It was like one of the last ones that I played with.
Okay.
But the one mech that I found challenging to play with, especially because I had it as my first mech I played with for the first 2 games of our
10.
Was the one that gives you the ability to have 5 upgrades, 5 solves, or 5 melds. Because it, like, getting 4 sometimes is even a challenge in the normal, like, flow of the game. So getting 5, I didn't use that ability very much. Like, I played with it for our final game, and I got 5 upgraded items, but I didn't get 5 in any other category. You have to, like, really try for it.
Oh, yeah.
And especially if you don't know what you're doing. If it's your first time playing, that one, I think, is hard to do well with.
But you optimized it by doing the gears. So then the gears give you extra points at the end.
That's
because
true.
They have little cash numbers on them.
Yeah, and they give you the ongoing abilities and stuff.
Yes.
So from our first play of it all the way through now, having played it 10 times, what kinds of aspects about the game stood out to you that maybe didn't seem immediately apparent?
Yeah, so I'm just going to start with like the items that I found a bit confusing and then get into the items that I like. So the maps, I was slightly confused by those just because I was wondering what I could use with those. There was a card, I believe it was a meteorite, that would give you coins for it, cash for it, if you upgraded your meteorite and was able to put it under the board. So that was nice. And then if you played Odin's Wrath, you got to use the maps as well. But outside of those ones, I personally didn't really find another way to use the maps that you collected. And the maps are when you uncover a new location, depending on where it is, you get a map from it. You place maps over the locations, then when it's uncovered and flipped around, you gain that map. So I wish there was something better to do with those maps to give you more of an incentive. You did get to claim 5 maps for the star or the objective in your base camp. So that was nice, but it was 7 meeples or 5 maps. So you could get away with getting 7 meeples. So I would just wish there was a little bit more depth to the maps, and maybe there's something I'm missing. But yeah, that's the little thing. And then the second item that I kind of wish it was more thematic to is the cache, because our first 3 plays of it, I was wondering what the cache was for, because I was talking to you about, oh, isn't this kind of like a meteor hit and all this stuff happened and they're going to do this expedition. Why do they need cash? Because you had read in the backstory that they were self-funded. So I was thinking maybe just for thematic aspects, if it could have oh, you're building a meteor and whoever gets the closest to building this meteor, you get fragments of a meteor, and then you, I don't know, just to be thematic. I mean, it really doesn't matter if you don't care about the theme or anything and you just want to play the game itself. But I was I'm so confused by this.
Yeah, you it was a hurdle for you to get over, because the whole point of the game is to have the most money, but then thematically we're going out on an expedition and trying to figure out the mysteries of this lost party that went, and then the corruption from the meteorites and it's affecting people and stuff. But then ultimately we're trying to get money from it. I don't really know where the money is coming from, thematically speaking.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
thematically speaking, especially because, well, and I'm sure some of the listeners know from, if you've listened from the beginning, but I was really into archaeology or whatever. So when you go on expeditions, you try to find the relic or just something to back up your research. So when you first do the research, you go and collect the cash, then you fund your project, then you actually go out on the project to find said item to bring back. So that's kind of how I felt for this. I was okay, so their project is to go discover the meteorite, discover what's happening. So they should bring back the meteorite.
In terms of the corruption, the fact that at the end of the game we're selling, those are each worth $2. So are we selling the corruption to a scientific facility?
Yes, we're Tomb Raiders.
So just a little bit of thematic ties, but I think what would actually make the game thematically stronger, and I don't mean to compare the game to Scythe because they're very different, but one thing I remember about the game Scythe is when you went to a new location, they have these cards that you draw that have some kind of story element where you get to choose, you could do A or you can do B, but it's kind of a story-driven type of experience, where this game kind of seemed to be lacking a little bit of that thematic story that we were telling as the game moved forward. Yeah. I thought. But another thematic element that I think was the workers themselves. The purple workers seemed rare to get, and they're supposed to represent people who are affected by the corruption of the meteorites. But the workers don't do anything different. I thought it'd be cool if the purple workers had something slightly, some other way that they behaved or something to make it feel...
they corrupted your other workers, you had to get rid of a worker if you gained a worker.
Something like that.
That'd be kind of cool. But other than that, I do feel that the game was pretty balanced. There was one thing that stood out to me that kind of threw off just kind of scoring balance. But when it came to your beginner person that you played with and your animal that you had, your companion, I do feel that across the board, those were pretty neutral. One would say get a card, but it wouldn't just be any card. It would be you can get an item card, or it would say you can get a green worker. It was very specific. And so it made it even across the board, because if somebody ended up with a card that said, oh, gain a green worker, well, your green worker activates your companion. So it's not the end of the world. Well, the other one was oh, you can gain an item, but there wasn't always an item card. So it did make
Right.
that even, which I really appreciate, because anytime there's any starting cards, any companion cards, anytime it's unbalanced, I tend to throw shade. I'm just like, no, it's because you played with like an Arnak, who the leader.
Oh,
it's because you played
yeah.
with the leader, so then you get the extra one, and I'm over here with the wizard guy who you have to power up, and it's just so difficult to get him to power up while you're over here like la da da. And so I appreciated that aspect. The aspect that I found that was slightly weighed a little differently, and maybe this is fixed in the expansion, we haven't played the expansion yet, but was the corruption tiles themselves. So when you flip over a new location and you place the corruption tiles, let's say that location requires 5 corruption. Well, you pull from this bag of random, and let's say you draw a 4 and then you draw another 4, so now that's 8, right? Let's say one of the 4s is orange and the other 4 is teal. So if that person goes over there to vanquish the corruption, maybe it's a little bit easier for them because they don't have to gain 5 of one color. They only have to gain 4 of each color, which they probably already have, which means that they can vanquish it a lot easier than somebody who's sitting at another plot with 4 teals, because now you have to have 8 teal to vanquish that whole plot. So where I find it to be slightly unbalanced in that aspect is that due to making it a little bit more difficult to obtain the guildy and or power.
The Gil.
The gil or power.
Guile.
Guile.
I never know how to pronounce it. I think we've gone back and forth.
I feel that certain times you vanquish should be worth more points, because at the end, all of those cubes are worth 2. I feel it should be based off of their amount. Like, for example, the 21, I understand that you pull the 20 and then you get to lay down that you completed that task of getting the 21. But if you had to wait to get both your gil and power, Kyle.
Those about brains and fists. That's what we called them.
Fists. That's
When
what
we were playing, that's what we actually called them.
Yeah.
So.
If you took all the time to get those both up, 220, you're kind of passing up vanquishing anything else. And the only return on investment is being able to place a star, but you could have placed a star for anything else, but
True.
you decided to wait and spend your brain and power on that. And so I feel that the return on investment should be more than just a star to balance out certain things.
And do you think, I know I talked about the fact that I wish that there was something thematically tied to the corruption to mix up the game, but I do feel like when you get the corruption, it would give you something other than just money at the end of the game, because that's all that it gives you.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
No, I agree. I agree. That's how I feel. Just more thematically based. But I'm thinking more thematically, I'm not thinking per se the game. Well, I guess I want more than 2 points at the end. That's what I want.
Because you go through all the work.
Yeah. So like the 3 teal and orange corruption, if that's only 2 points, that's fine. I'm chill with that. But anything over 4, I'm like, I worked really hard to save these together.
And then what you're really doing is you're just opening up that extra bonus spot for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
so
helping
if there was
you.
some kind of incentive, But I did want to talk about the star. Oh,
Sorry. You said incentive. I just had this
Yeah.
idea real quick. What if you unlocked it, right? And then whatever other person on their expedition, if they wanted to use it, they had to pay you.
Oh, because
and
you're
you
the
would
one
collect,
who you own it.
Yes,
You own that spot.
and you would get a gil and power.
A guile brain,
I don't know.
power fist. Yeah.
Yeah, you would get one of those. I feel like that would be a fun little thing to add to it, because then it gives more incentive to get rid of the corruption.
I like where you're going with that, because that is something that I think is slightly missing is an expedition, but where are you personally leaving your mark on this expedition?
Yeah. Like, this is my dig site.
We're not on the same expedition. Separately, we're going and we're exploring.
Right.
So if you could somehow make your mark, like there's incentive to get out there and explore those locations so that you can stake your hold. And now anybody who wants to use it has to pay you. So that is a cool
like
idea.
Le Havre.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I like where you're going with that. That's awesome.
I know. We're both excited.
What I was going to say about the stars, though, I really like this system of what are they called? The boasting, where you get to place a star. Because, again, I'm going to compare it slightly to Scythe, because if I remember correctly, I've only played it once, but in Scythe, when you fulfill one of those objectives, you place a star on that turn. And so the way this game differs, unless I'm missing something, is you have to use a specific action to place a star. And you don't have to do it. There are points in the game where you can fulfill the requirements of like 3 different categories, but I'm going to take my time. I'm going to slow the game down.
I've noticed.
And build my stuff up. And now I'm going to start rushing the game. I'm going to start dropping those stars down. When I decide to, I place 3. I'm going to hold off on that 4th, but I'm going to create that pressure where you think the game is going to end soon. But I'm going to drag it on a couple more turns because there's some more stuff I want to do to be able to get more money. And so I thought that was a pretty clever system of pacing for the game that is player controlled.
Well, speaking of the pacing, I noticed that our beginning cards had the boast or star aspects, that if you had 1 star already in your campsite, right? That's your campsite. I think that's
Base
your joint.
camp.
Yeah, base camp. You got an additional resource, like you got an additional brain or power. And then if you had 2, you got another one. So it kind of makes you not wait either, because you get an incentive to get 2 stars in there quick. So then you can continuously gather more goods to vanquish faster. So it's like a circle.
Well, especially for those categories that can disappear, like the cards. Once you have 8 cards, you want to go and drop a star. But in order to drop the star, you have to uncover that location. So you're trying to like find it. So you could do that. And now I can start burning the cards out of my cycle and using them for upgrading, melding, or solving.
Yeah. I learned that. And the 10th play of it. That's when I learned that.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about, which I discussed at the end of our first play, my first impressions, which did turn out to be like really my favorite thing about the game, is it has this really interesting arc in terms of collecting cards and hanging on to them for like a little while so that you can use their abilities, and then deciding when you want to meld, upgrade, or solve them on a quest. And I think upgrading, that one, I had less issues with upgrading it right away, because otherwise you have to place a meeple on it and then it stays active until the end of that turn. But when you upgrade it, you just get that ability ongoing. So I would typically try to upgrade those pretty early in the game. But in terms of the meteorites and the solving, and I think the solving more I wanted to hang on to longer, because those abilities were really cool. And I did find that the solving action provided less interesting benefits. Like you get the core value of all of the quests that you've solved at that point. And then you also you have to pay your quest cost or whatever it's called to get a small bonus as well. But I felt like those turns were less exciting when I did the solve action. So I'd hang off toward the end of the game. But again, don't want to wait too late, because once that 4th star is placed, if you don't have as many quests that you've solved, you're not going to get as many points for those stars that you have on the board.
Yeah.
So it's all about timing. How long to hang on to them? How many turns do you want to use them before you get rid of them?
Yeah. I figured out, I don't know, by maybe like the 5th or 6th play of it, to hold on, to gather the 8, and then waste them. It took a while, because there was some cards where I was just like, oh, it's the perfect time for me to use this, because I uncovered the upgrade one by vanquishing. And so it's a free move. And then I told myself to hold off on it because I wanted to use it as the star, because in a way, it's kind of difficult to gather cards. It makes it seem easy because the lower southern regions are exposed with gathering cards. You get a card for free, or you get it from the deck. And so you're like, oh, well, I can always go back. But you have to go back down. So maybe you're up in the northern and central region where you are discovering things, moving around, and you're like really loving the 3 tiles you're by. But then, I want to go get a card, so let me migrate all the way down to the southern region to get it. So you had to find ways to get what you needed. And I thought that was a fun an exciting aspect of the game as well, because I like when I have to really use my brain, like when I get a little tickle in my brain, like, how do I do this without having to go all the way back down?
Yeah, you're looking at the cards that you have, the resources that you have, and trying to figure out, like, how can I accomplish this in the next couple turns? Because with the action marker, you're going to cover up one of the 3 actions unless you do a refresh, and that means you're only doing 2 of the move, play, or gather. And so I'm like, there has to be a way I can accomplish this. There has to be a way I can play the right cards. And then when I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can't do it until I refresh, now is a good time to do that refresh action, get all of my cards back, and then on the next turn, I'm going to get to do all 3 of those and have all of my cards available. So for that mega turn. And I really loved that timing as well of when to do the refresh.
Yes, that is another aspect of the game that I absolutely love. I think I love any game with that where you have the moves or whatever, and then you cover it up and it's like, okay, that one's covered, you can't use it, you can only use the other ones that are uncovered.
For sure.
I find that really fun because I'm just like, no, if I only could do this, and I like try to think so hard how to do it, and I'm just like, I can't.
And then if you don't use every card in your hand, then you feel like you're wasting time, you're wasting resources. So
that's really fun. So do you have who won? I feel like if you won by 1, that one needs to be taken away, because there was one game we played where when you did the solve for the quest, you weren't, giving the goods.
So you want to know who won our 10 plays?
Yes.
So I won 7-3.
You won 6-3.
Okay, well, I still won.
I feel like it's even less than that because I didn't find out until the 3rd game that you weren't spending them.
That's funny. I had a lot of fun playing this, so it was cool to
7-3
to figure out, some of the cool combos, to really explore all of the locations and try to use all of their abilities and stuff. And just, I love the artwork. I loved it when we played our first game of it. I still love it now. I loved looking at all the cards. We found Biddy and Walter.
Yes, and I squealed because I was like, they're so cute. And I looked at Lulu and I was like, Lulu, you look like the one in the background.
Maybe Lupin one day will be in a game. Well,
he will be. Not maybe. Lulu will be. I will ask everyone.
Please have our cat in your game.
No one's going to know who he is. Can you please have him?
That's funny. But I thought it would be cool. There is an expansion for the game called Gears of Corruption. If you are willing to continue the expedition, we can see what this expansion has to offer and how it mixes up the game stuff. I thought it'd be a cool idea for us to go play the game with that expansion multiple times and then come back and talk about the expansion and just our overall opinions at that point.
I mean, yeah, that sounds fun because you said it was Gears of Corruption.
Gears of Corruption.
Maybe, just maybe. Maybe they did something with the corruption tiles.
We'll see. Yeah. Let's go check it out and we'll come back after all of that.
And we are back after playing the expansion to Expeditions. And the expansion is known as
the Gears of Corruption.
Yes, because it adds corruption.
And gears.
Gears to the game. So some things that I wanted to note right off the bat about it is that it fixed the map item that I had addressed in the earlier part of this episode where I just said I can't remember the exact words I used, but I felt that the maps were a little underwhelming because you get a map and there's only a few cards that you really do anything with the maps for, and the only other reason to receive a map is to potentially use it to gain a star in your base camp. But in Gears of Corruption, dun, 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 we were able to get a map, and the map actually had something on it. So you got a little extra gift that you flipped over, and it would be a little surprise, a little present for you.
Which was it was like an incentive to go to places.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you end up with like a move action, and if that's the end of your turn, that's not that exciting, just to move at the end of your turn and then get a map token and then flip over a tile. But this time, you can get a bonus that can give you an extra something on that turn.
Yeah. And so that was really exciting. I thought it added a nice little touch because then it didn't feel like you were wasting, per se, like a turn. Another item that I had brought up initially was... Honestly, I can't remember. I know there was more than one. I think there was about 3. I can't remember what it was. Do you remember?
I don't. Well, we could just walk through and talk about what the expansion adds and then maybe get into what our thoughts were.
Yeah.
So you already mentioned the map thing.
Yeah, the map.
So replace the map tokens, you shuffle them up, you put them on the central and northern territories. It also adds 2 new mechs.
Yeah.
And 4 new characters with companions. It also adds starting resources for all of the mechs, including from the base game. So ordinarily you just start the game without any guile or power. But this game, you start with some stuff. And you also start with a special worker, a golden worker.
Yes, that's what it was.
Wild, and you can use that as any color. So it adds that. And then it replaces the initial mech boards with dual layered boards where the resource tracks, now you can move them up place by place rather than it just being a flat surface. So it adds that replacement for the original mech boards, as well as the 2 new ones. And then it adds this corrupted mech aspect where when a first star is placed, then this mech comes out on the board, and each time it's going to be that player's turn, you flip over a card, and then that allows the mech to move around the board. And then if it would move onto a player's space, then it will take something from them, like a resource or money or a card or something like that. But you can also vanquish cards, which I never did when we were playing, but you can vanquish cards as a vanquish action from the corrupted mech.
I did.
And that counts as 2 coins at the end of the game for each one. So that's, in a nutshell, everything that the expansion adds. How did you want to go about this? Do you want to just go through piece by piece and talk about what... So what you mentioned the fact that you like the map tokens.
Yeah.
Anything else to expand upon with that?
Yes. The other piece of feedback that I had was the beginning move. I remember after you had said that, I remember how I had spoke about it didn't feel very eventful because you had to waste your first turn getting a meeple to be able to activate anything.
Right.
So I really appreciate that in this expansion, it allows you to start with a universal colored meeple.
The golden meeple.
Yes, the golden meeple. I like that it's bigger too. It's like, I am very usable.
I'm your guy.
Yeah. And so I liked that aspect. And then I liked being able to start with resources as well. That helped I don't know. I feel like it helped add a little depth to it because instead of each player having to go around and collecting these items, it started you off in a way where you can start getting into the game. Like you could start going for the corruption tiles, for whatever, you know?
Right.
And I like that because if you want to be speedy and get to it quick, then bam, bam. And then the other person's like, oh no, you're going so quick. And it's like, ha!
Yeah, because there were some games in our earlier plays of it where I kind of felt locked in the beginning because you took that space that I needed. Mm-hmm. And then my cards required certain meeple colors that I didn't have. So I had to, take suboptimal moves, and it took me longer to get going. And I really love anytime an expansion jump starts those first few turns. It just gives you some stuff. It kind of eliminates this beginning of the game that always feels the same.
Mm-hmm. And I do feel that it really helps with making it a little bit more competitive too, because you can get right into the grit of it as opposed to dancing around one another, as you said, waiting for that spot to open up or figuring out how to get to that spot because that person is just hogging it to get every single color they need. And you're just,
Exactly. So maps are cool. I would play with that. By the way, everything in the expansion, you don't have to play with everything. You can mix and match however you want. I would play with the maps every single time.
Yes.
Because it doesn't add any rules. You just get stuff, and that's awesome.
You just get stuff.
So then what about the new characters? You want to go there next? The characters and the companions, the 4?
I do. So
we both played with all of them.
Yes. So we played 4 additional plays of the game.
14 total.
14 total. And for the new character cards, the one that stood out to me the most as being the most unique, because the other ones, they were different compared to the initial game, but they weren't so different that I had to change playstyle really.
Right.
But the one I did was the Balion and Zephon.
The purple one?
Yeah, the two purple
ones. That
one
looked awesome. Like, looking at the new characters, that one stood out to me. I thought it was going to be cool. I didn't know what it did,
looks
but
like
it looks
corruption.
cool. And
Yeah.
it's all purple. And
so you had played with it, and that was your lowest score, right?
it was. I think... And that one I remember ending and thinking like, wow, this was challenging. But in a good way. I thought it was, it stretched my brain in a different direction.
Right.
As a result, I got 45 points, and I'd averaged. I can pull it up real quick.
I like how you're like, I averaged more, guys. Just like, don't worry, it was more than 45. Does the app show what character you played as, or you just?
I didn't log that information. I can't find. Let's see. My average score was 84.43. My best was 103. So
what was my best?
Your best was 105.
Yeah, it was.
So that game, using that, my score was like half of what I would normally get.
What was my score? Because I think we traded, right, for the next game to follow.
Right. So the next one, you got 62, and your average 75.86. So still below average. Not as bad as mine. But what is the purple, what does that one do? Yeah,
so the main character card of the purple is gain the top corruption accessible from your location, except for the 20. Or you can pay a guile, yes.
A brain?
Yes,
a brain.
Or power to meld. And then its companion was activate a face-up purple card's ability or trash one corruption to tuck a quest. So, here we go, because I'm about to take you down a rabbit hole. When I was playing with this, so first I watched you play with it, and I was like, okay, he's struggling. Like, he's just really struggling, especially because
I couldn't get going.
It doesn't have the solve, and you got stuck on the solve. And
does it have the vanquish?
Well, just hold up. I got you. No, it doesn't have the vanquish. Not in the way that we're used to. Because all the other cards, it's solve and vanquish. Vanquish takes off the corruption. Solve lets you solve a quest. Mm-hmm. So, with this, the first time you played it, I thought to myself, ooh, that's a hard one. I don't want to play with that one. Then I'm playing with it, and I'm going. I lay my third star down, and I go, oh my god, I get it now. So, you're like, you're building suspense. I'm like, yeah. But with this, I just kept thinking. I was just like, no. There has to be balance in it. And you're like, not all games have to have balancing characters. I'm like, no. For this, seeing as everything else is pretty compatible with one another, I guess, or pretty even kill with each other, I was like, these also have to be. Because that wouldn't make sense for every single other one to be pretty much the same, minus one character and one companion. And so I was looking at it, and I went, oh my god, that's what it is. So I was thinking that we play one more round with this so that I could play as this, so I could implement it, and because I think this might be the easier choice. And because I think that, it is due to the character is gain the top corruption accessible from your location. So that's like the vanquish, right?
Yeah.
You just don't get to vanquish everything. You just get the top one.
For free.
So you go around to the fivers and get the free fives, right? Not that it really matters, but those are the toughest to get. So then you're not wasting the rest of your resources on getting that vanquish, right? And then this next one is activate a face-up purple's card ability or trash a corruption to tuck a quest, which is, so you're never using items. You're never using your resources. Because you go to a place, you just get one of the cards, and you could sit there and use a vanquish card that you had gained through playing, and you can wait until your next turn to actually vanquish it and then use the bottom if you wanted, so that you got 2 of the corruption tokens. Then you could, because here You just tuck a quest. You don't have to go to the quest spot. You just tuck it.
Well, on the flip side of that, when you tuck it, you don't get the stuff from it either. You're just getting the hearts.
But the hearts get you more points at the end.
They do.
You need at least 3 hearts to get the full points of 10.
That was the round when I played that I realized.
You only got like 1.
Well, I think I got all 4. I tucked 4 or something. There was one round where I realized, okay, there's no difference. There's no incentive to get a 4th quest other than getting the star. Right. I mean, yeah, you get the resources when you tuck them, but I kind of wish there was like some kind of cool bonus that you got for getting that 4th one. You know what I mean? Some big payoff.
Well, what do you get?
I went on 4 quests. I solved them. And there's no difference between 3 or 4 for endgame scoring.
But it's no difference compared to the gears either. You're like, you get coins at the end. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no difference to the meteors either. And you're like, oh, well, you get coins when you lay it. Yeah, but when you lay it, you have to save it to lay it for a specific time to make sure that you can maximize the money. With the quest ones, once you fulfill that quest, you get whatever it is right away. And you get to pick what it is. So it's kind of like based off of how patient you want to be for a certain quest card to come out and for whatever you want to receive.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, when you look at the 3 categories, melting meteorites, upgrading items, and solving quests, just getting the resources alone, and this is where I wish that resources gave you something at the end of the game, because those other 2 categories do. The meteorites will give you money, which are endgame points. The upgraded items give you coin value in the bottom left, endgame points. Quests up to 3 give you a multiplier for your stars, but that 4th doesn't do anything. And you may have leftover resources, but that doesn't do anything.
I think it's saying that you should optimize your turns and make sure you use your resources to get corruptions. If there's corruptions on the board, you ain't playing right. No.
Adapt. Achieve. Overcome.
It's overcome. It's
okay,
adapt.
I get that wrong every time.
It's AOA.
AOA. Adapt. Overcome.
Achieve.
Yes.
No, so after realizing that, my little gears in my head was spinning, and I was just all like, I could have done so much better. And you're like, could you have it? I'm like, hey, you got 40 some with these. I got 60 some. Okay. So obviously there's room for improvement on both parts.
So anything else to add for the characters or new companions? I thought that they were good. You know, it just adds variety. Like you said, the 3 of them felt kind of the same. Like each one has this variation with they all let you solve or vanquish, but then they add a cool spin of you can either vanquish or do this other thing, or solve or do this other thing. The purple one was the most different, and it's interesting that it starts with both of them require purple worker, but then you also have that wild starting one, which you can still use if you play the cards in the right way, but you want to get that purple worker early in the game. So all in all, I thought that was awesome. You can just mix those in. But the mechs, the 2 new mechs, I thought were really cool because they also play into your original feedback about the maps not really doing anything. Because this lets you, both of the new mechs let you trash a map to do something. And one of them is trash a map to perform an action after your refresh turn, which normally a refresh is just a dead turn. You refresh your cards and stuff, you get it all back. But this one, you can trash that map. You get to do a little something in between, which is awesome. And then the other mech, the Scarecrow, I believe, you trash a map to be able to...
I think the Scarecrow is the one you just described.
Oh, okay, I'm getting them mixed up. So the other one, you can, when you do a gather action, you can trash a map to get the ability, the bonus of whatever the corruption is covering up, which is really, it can be really cool if you do that.
I know. You drove me insane with that one.
Because I was just going all over the board. I'm like, oh, I'm going to gather here.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I put a star down. Yeah. And I was just like, how did you do that? And you're like, well, my mech says. And I'm like, your mech says nothing.
But it's also pretty well balanced because one of the categories of boasting, placing a star, is having maps. So if you trash those, you're basically giving up your ability to lay that down, unless you have the workers, which is the other part of that same category. So.
7 workers or 5 maps.
Right. So what did you think of the new mechs? Did you enjoy those? I thought that
I liked them a lot.
Yeah, I could tell.
Because they reminded me of Arnak and how I would figure out a way to get that extra move, you know? And that's how I felt with the maps. I figured out a way, I just need to do this. I need one more move. How do I do that? Map. It's the map.
Plus, you get the bonus from the map. So you get the bonus from the map, trash it for something cool.
Trash. Is that the slogan of the day? Yeah. You're like, get the bonus.
Trash it for something cool.
Yeah. Overall, though, unless you have anything else to add.
About the mechs?
About anything.
Oh, well, the corrupted mech. You didn't talk about it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I thought it was okay. I mean, okay. Yes, I would say at a 2-player account, it adds like just a little bit of competitive nature, something getting in your way. It was just, to me, it was a little bit too much administrative upkeep.
Yeah.
It disrupted the flow of the game because we constantly had to remember when it comes back to your turn, flip over a card, and then figure out the direction it moves. And then sometimes it got in the way. A lot of times it didn't. I didn't ever try to vanquish its cards.
I did. I did like a lot. Like I did 6 in one go.
So, okay. Well, what were your thoughts about the corrupted mech?
I thought it was kind of funny. It added adventure. Because I would put it by you, and then I would laugh because I'd be way on the other side of the map, and the mech would be dancing with you. I don't know. I thought it was funny. It added comedy for me. Oh, yeah. I was like, hee hee hee. And then when it would move, I'd be like, ooh, it's chasing you. It's not chasing me.
Did it ever take anything from you? It always took stuff from me.
It took a guile from me.
So nothing too crazy.
No.
I could see, though, in like a 4 or 5 player game or something, this would be like running into people constantly.
I know, that'd be so funny. Doesn't it? It goes up to 5 players, right?
6 with that was the other thing the expansion adds is the 6th player, I think green.
Oh, okay.
And then we can't speak for the solo mode stuff that it adds. I'm not really quite sure on that. But so you can play with 6 players now. That'd be pretty wild.
That'd be fun. You're all just bumping into one another like bumper cards.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be really competitive because then a 2-player count is pretty wide open. You're just, for the most part, you're doing your own thing. Like every once in a while, you were on spaces that I really wanted. I actually have pretty often, even in 2 players, especially up in that northern territory. Like you would just so happen to get on the space I needed with the star or that 20 vanquish tile where you need 10 of each category. You would always get there before me, even like I was close by, I almost had the stuff, and then you would always get it. So.
And then I would notice that you would want that tile that I was on, so then I would make sure to be on there for 3 moves. Like I would move to it on 1 and then play gather on the next, so then I wouldn't have to move and then refresh so I could still sit there.
Yes. So what are your, we've played the game 14 times now, 10 with the original base game, 4 times with the Gears of Corruption expansion. How have your opinions changed since our 10 plays, and where are you at now with Expeditions?
I like the expansion. I think from my point of view, just because I have no chill and I prefer being really competitive, I like the Gears of Corruption because it adds threats. And I'm a big person when it comes to threats in the game because I like to feel like I'm running from something or I'm trying to beat something, right? So if I don't feel that there's head-to-head competition, having a built-in threat with a game is really exciting to me because if you're not bothering me because you're way over there on the other side of the board and I'm not bothering you, but there's still a threat, I'm like, oh, okay, yes, it's still competitive. I'm still competing against something. So
this throws a little bit of extra something in there.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like, from my point of view, that playing with the expansion is a must. But if you're more of a chill player and you just like to play games not so much for, like, the rush of it, you can play with the normal Expeditions, which is just as fun. It's just not as competitive.
Yeah, and I would say you could get the expansion right with the base game, and especially for the dual layered boards and then the starting resources for each mech. I think starting with that is like actually at your advantage because being able to start with some stuff will get you going in the right direction early in the game. And then as you play the game more, you can throw in the corrupted mech and do all that other stuff, play with the more advanced mechs. But I would say you can go for it.
Yeah.
But one thing that did stand out to me as we continue to play the game beyond 10 plays And I was talking to you at one point, maybe after 2 or 3 more rounds, where one thing I wish that the game had, like that thematically would make sense, is you're getting money throughout the game.
Oh, that was it. That was the third one. I knew there was a third one. Sorry to cut your thought, but okay. I knew, I was like, there's something I'm missing.
So, and we talked about this earlier, that thematically in the game, you're these groups of people funding your own expeditions to these territories to explore what had been happening with these meteorites. So you're collecting money throughout the game by doing certain things. But then, like, wouldn't it make sense if you could then use that money to upgrade your mech and do certain things? Like, everything that you want to do, like, upgrading wise, I think should maybe cost money. And that would make thematic sense. Like, oh, as you're going on these expeditions, now you need money to be able to continue, like, fixing your mech or upgrading or, feeding your people or all that stuff. But it becomes like this investment. You're getting money, which is points at the end of the game, but then you need to invest those points back into your mech to make it better.
Right.
Which then could have an ROI, return on investment, and in the end still get you more points, and you have to calculate how much that's going to be in your favor. I think that would be a really interesting concept, because the money doesn't do anything other than just serve as endgame points. But it's not really currency throughout the whole game, which would, in my opinion, would make a lot of sense. And I think that's something like maybe in a future expansion or something that could be integrated somehow.
Yeah, like you could upgrade your mech to move one space more.
Yeah.
You can upgrade your mech to allow maps to work for any board. Like maybe it's, now you can use a map to refresh or whatever, and then.
But to do that, you need to hire like the local mechanic and like win his favor in order to do that.
Win his favor. Okay, I know we're jesters.
And in order to do that, you would need to hire the local mechanic and, buy their favor. So that they'll come and they could go work on other people's mechs, but, you got to pay them off to come work on yours. They're not loyal to anybody.
Okay, there you go. There's cards. So when the corrupted mech comes out, you lay out 5 cards to begin with, right? Well, maybe the first star comes out and there's a different edition where 4 cards come out. One is like a mechanic for upgrading your mech to do like move one more space. One's another mechanic to upgrade your mech to be able to activate an adjacent location. So maybe you can only move 3 spaces still, but now you get to activate the adjacent location and gather or whatever it is that you're on. And then maybe another mech lets you move 3 spaces, but you get to jump over the holes.
Or instead of having to trash a map to do an action in between refreshes, you can pay to upgrade that. And now every time you refresh, no matter what, you get to do an extra action or even 2 actions or something. The sky's the limit. 50 actions.
50. Okay. The game's going to be over by then. All right.
Because, those ongoing abilities, I think, would be really cool to ramp up. And it would make sense.
It would add a distraction.
It would. And it would help speed up. Like, you kind of start, taking these normal moves, and then by the end, you're taking these huge moves and doing all this stuff. That I think would make a really exciting game progression.
Yes. And then it would give the cash purpose.
Yes. Other than just points at the end. But then the money still could be the end game scoring. But it's like, how good did you do with the money that you invested back into your mech upgrades, but still had money left over?
Yes.
That's the winner of the game.
Right, because I would get distracted.
Spend your money wisely.
Yeah, I'd be like, I don't need to upgrade my mech. And then you would be like, gonna upgrade my mech. And then I'm gonna be like, how did you get more cash than me when you spent $20 on...
True, it's like, I'm gonna spend $20 to do this and that, and then I don't actually do anything with it. You would end up winning, because if you upgraded less but used it more efficiently, you would beat me.
Right.
So we have taken the expedition. And at this point, would you say that expeditions is a keep it to play or trade it away?
I would say it's a keep it to play for now, because I want to try a few more things. I don't think I have fully expedited
the expedition,
the grounds of the corruption, the meteorite fall yet.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a cool game. I really enjoyed our plays of it, doing all the exploring, discovering all the different cards, using the abilities and stuff. It still felt really fun after 14 plays. That's where I'm at with it.
Yes.
So thank you for taking the journey with me into the lands, exploring the meteorites and the corruption and vanquishing and all of that stuff.
Of course. And thank you for coming along this expedition and trying to race me to discovering this corrupted meteorite. Wait, who won?
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
I won 9 and you won 5. So
yes.
I forgot to mention that really important fact.
that is important.
It just goes to show you it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
It's definitely.
And the stories that we shared along the way.
This is what you say in real life. Not that this isn't real life, because obviously we did this.
In real life, yes.
Yeah.
But did we accomplish anything in real life while we were playing the game?
Yes. Happiness.
Yes. Fulfillment,
because you got to win. So there we go. Now we're just rambling. All right. So thank you so much for listening to us and joining us for season 5. We hope that this season brings you magic and whimsical. So the next game that we're going to play is kind of up in the air. We're kind of deciding. Maybe bonfire, maybe not. I don't know. Hint. You're like, that's not a hint.
You just told them.
Okay, fine. Like, you can roast marshmallows over it. You're like, you already said it.
The damage has already been done.
The fire damage.
You've pre-committed us.
Pre-committed. No, I said maybe or maybe not.
Maybe or maybe not.
Maybe or maybe not. So.
We don't know how long it'll take.
Yeah.
Yeah, this took us a while, so.
Yeah.
We're just in it for the experience.
Yes. And we appreciate you joining us on our experience. We hope that you love board games just as much. And if you want us to ever deep dive a board game that you've been interested in, it doesn't have to be a new game. As you see, our Jestering Tales usually involve older games. So we do any game, honestly. But, well, okay, let me rephrase. If you've been here for the journey, there's some games I won't do, okay? But for the most part.
You're speaking so optimistic.
I know, I'm speaking so optimistic.
Game in the world.
I'm like, I don't know, feeling good. Feeling good on this first episode, you know? Feeling like we got this going. Whatever, I'm doing the outro right now. So thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to follow us on Instagram so you can see lovely photos of Sir Lupin as he jumped on the board of this gameplay, and you can see how many spots he covers by himself. He is very cute, very floofy. He covers about 6 hexagons. Yeah, they're hexagons. Octagons? Do they have 8 sides? I didn't count. I think they're hexagons.
I think they're hexagons.
Or maybe pentagons? Oh, God. We'll have to go count afterwards. But, yeah, so you can join us there. And as always, be sure to play games with the ones you love.